Stand by. This is Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel for SMEs, business owners, and entrepreneurs. Streaming live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. The live show is made possible by our sponsor, Restream, the easy way to stream to multiple social platforms at the same time. Restream Studio makes it simple to go live directly from your browser. Get started now at businessconnectionslive.com/Restream. And now, here's Steve Hyland. Hello there, welcome along. It is Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, business owners, SMEs, and a whole host of other people who are running their own businesses at the moment. Very good afternoon. Steve Hyland with you here. It's great to have your company. Now, I know we're all very excited, but we were meant to have two guests. We're still going to have two guests, one way or the other. But just as we were going to air, the internet thought it would throw a wobbly. So Angus Grady is still battling with the internet. He's just moved into a brand new house and he hasn't got his broadband installed yet. So he was tethering and all sorts of things. But we will be talking to Angus one way or another a little bit later on. But holding court for the moment is Steve Mills. Steve, thank you very much. Your internet is working beautifully, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, so far, Steve. So far, let's not hope that remains. But let's just crack on. And great to be here again. And really, as ever, looking forward to talking to you today.
It should be a great show. Now, a couple of weeks back, when you were on before, we were talking about working your way out of lockdown. That was lockdown number one. Here we are. We're back in lockdown number two. When it comes to affecting businesses, how's it affected you so far, this second lockdown? And has it come as a bit of a shock, do you think, for UK businesses at the moment? And are they seeing the repercussions of lockdown one and lockdown two?
Yeah, I mean, it's been affecting us without a doubt. I think businesses are very nervous right now. You know, they're probably not taking the action that is required. If you think about it, you know, when times are tough, what you need to do is to do more marketing to generate more leads. You have to actually put in more effort to get the same result even that you're getting before. So it has affected us. And I think this, you know, sort of double dip, as it were, is, in a way, worse than the first time. But we're just hoping that, you know, with the introduction of a vaccine and so on and so forth, that, at some point in the new year or perhaps the spring, we can start to look forward to a better future for everybody.
It's interesting. Thank you very much to Sazun. He's just come through and he says there's an echo. We'll try and resolve that echo. I can't hear that at the moment. Is it clear at your end there? But thank you very much to Sazun. If there is an echo on the stream at the moment, please, if you can let us know. Thanks a lot there, Mr. Cohen, and we'll see if we can resolve that as the program goes on. I can't actually see why that might well be happening.
It's all fine on my end.
Yeah, it seems to be fine. Yeah. Very good afternoon as well to Antonio Falco, trusted business advisor. He's watching the program as well. Antonio, if you have anything that you fancy throwing into the program as well as the show goes on, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. Interesting, just before we came on, I did notice on BBC News that they're saying now that it looks like that the COVID-19 vaccine developed in the US has nearly 95% effective. Early data is suggesting that's really good news. So it looks like that we're in an interesting place at the moment, aren't we, when it comes to this? By the way, thank you very much to Tim for helping us out. Tim Solway, hearing you loud and clear. Thanks a lot there, Tim. Hope you're fine, feeling well on this lovely afternoon. Okay, Steve, getting ourselves sorted out. What kind of actions are you taking at the moment? And do you think there's a right and a wrong way? Can we use social media to get us out of the mire that we're in at the moment, because business is slowing down? What would be your initial reaction to business owners and customers who are coming to you at the moment saying, look, we need to do something because of what's happening?
Yeah, I think to kick off with, the first thing I'd say is that, the action that a lot of people take in is to withdraw. They're withdrawing the amount of money they're investing, which I do understand, and they're withdrawing the amount of time that they're investing as well. They're thinking, oh, we need to be careful, we need to cut back, we don't want to spend too much. And all those things are right and justified. And, I don't blame anybody for doing them. But really, if you think about it, when it's difficult to create sales, and leads, what should you be doing? You need to be doing, I suppose, number one is do it better, and two is to do more of it. So since the sort of first lockdown, one of the actions that we took is actually we literally doubled the amount of social media time, money, and effort that we were putting into it. And whilst, it's not got the results that I would have liked it to, I think it's probably done a lot better than I would have done if I'd have ever even kept going as I was, or even reduced it thinking, it's going to be tough, let's not do very much. So yes is the answer. Social media is a great opportunity right now. The other thing to realize, Steve, is that social media is absolutely exploded since since last March. Can you imagine? Where have everybody gone? Everybody's at home. They're they're not able to work and travel and so on. So what are people doing? They're going onto the internet. They're searching for stuff, and they're using social media. So, if people are searching for stuff on the internet and they're business owners, I want them to be finding me. And if they're using social media, then the same thing applies.
Do you think there's a lot of noise out there at the moment because of that? Because so many people, by the way, it looks like maybe if we're lucky, Angus could have joined us. Let's just see if that works. Angus, can you hear us okay? Or are you still frame? Are you there, Angus?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yes, I can hear you. Excellent, but
Yeah.
you're not moving very much. But that's all right as long as we can hear you. You could have shaved to come on the program today.
No, I'm just actually testing this.
You're doing a Movember.
You're doing a Movember, says Steve.
No, I'm doing a move house. So we've moved house, so I just didn't bother.
Oh, we actually are getting there. I was just asking Steve actually about the situation when it comes to what we should be doing. Steve says he's increased the amount of work he's working on LinkedIn. He says there's an explosion when it comes to the number of people who are online at the moment. Do you think we're just you're getting better and better all the time. Do you think we're just generating noise at the moment, Angus?
I think there is a lot of noise going on. I think the noise is kind of it's a bit of a strange noise because it's more of you buy my stuff kind of noise than educational stuff, which is a shame.
Now you two actually do differ, don't you, in as much as the approach that you take. Steve, I'm doing this all on the fly at the moment. This is quite I'm just waiting for it all to collapse around our ears. But Steve, when you use social media, you tend to it's know, like, and trust. You're building that kind of relationship. And Angus, I put in our show notes today, is it a case of a kiss, date, or marry? You tend to be sometimes more direct when it comes to the way that you would approach a potential contact or prospect who joins you on LinkedIn. I mean, it's two differing approaches. Which do you think is the best of the two? Which one works the most effectively? Steve?
Well, go on.
Okay. Well, I think both of them, I've got to say. I think both ways are really important. I do try to use both. Whereas, yes, I do try and get my messages out to people. But ultimately, I'd say, if you ask me, where do you win most of your business, certainly as far as LinkedIn's concerned, it's by picking up the phone and speaking to people. That's my number one way. And it's just making sure that I'm speaking to the right people and, building the relationships, getting, as it says, know, like, and trust me. That's my whole objective on LinkedIn, to get people to know, like, and trust me. And then when the time's right for them, to have one natural course to come to me rather than go to somebody else.
Do you think it's down to the telephone call, Angus?
I do. I think that the telephone is that weapon of mass discussion that we all forget about.
I like that.
For me, again, it's it's that whole relationship building for sure. But people buy into you long before they buy from you, and I think that's different from meet like no trust. I think that once you've established your credibility, then playing kiss chase all day long on like LinkedIn doesn't get me anywhere. I prefer to actually message people. I send 60-second podcasts to people with a message, and then they always get back to me, and a postcard and a phone call. All those methods for me work a treat.
What about you, Steve? Do you use any of those kind of techniques yourself as well?
I've not used the postcard thing, but I did. I listened to Angus on, I think the last time he was on Business Connections Live, talking about his postcard, and I have made a note to actually try that, but I must confess I've not done that as yet. But everything else he said there, I do absolutely condone and believe in. I think the key is the one thing I find about doing stuff like posting. The reason I do so much posting is it makes that phone call a lot easier, so that when I message people or I phone them, they to some level know me. That's my ultimate objective. So they're not getting, I don't know about you and the listeners today, but I hate cold calling people who don't know me. They don't want to hear from me. There's no relationship. But I utilize LinkedIn to get them to at least a level where when I go, oh, hi, it's Steve Mills here, we're connected on LinkedIn, there's at least a recollection of, oh, yeah, I remember that name somewhere. And hopefully it's, oh, yes, Steve, we've always seen you on LinkedIn. That's really where I am with that, I'd say.
It's very interesting you say that. It's interesting. Antonio just came up with a comment. I don't know whether the pair of you saw that. He says, I agree with Angus in that noise is just that, noise. Buy my stuff. The other thing that he says as well as a dog, cat, and people doing stupid things in order to bring some joy. And we've all seen that now. The worst, and he's seen more and more of it, is the woe is me. It's the sad fishers that are out there, the ones who've got the sad backstory, that they feel that if they gain your sympathy, then what will happen is that you may buy from them because you feel sorry for them. What's your feelings about that, Angus?
I've never been a fan of the pour me, pour me another drink, pour me another, I'm poor me and all that kind of stuff. I think that again, it goes back to the noise element. I think that people want attention. We live in the attention economy, even more so now. This second lockdown is making people very scared, very frightened. And I think people are overreacting to the whole selling process. It shouldn't be social selling. It should be social solving. You don't need to sell. You solve a problem, people will buy from you. And I think that's my kind of approach to this. And it goes back to that Dave Wattle video that I put up at the start of the first lockdown, where he was at the back of the race at the 800-meter final, and he won the race because all he did was he stuck to his knitting. He just had a plan and he stuck to it. And I think that's what people have got to do. The woe is me stuff is just old hat. It's like so last year.
Yeah, sad fishing. We've had a question come. Melinda's come up with one. She wants to know what response you get to your postcards, Angus.
Huge, absolutely huge. I think that the postcard is like a silent door opener. It will open the heaviest of doors because people already know who I am. Okay, so they connect with me on LinkedIn. They get a welcome video, hopefully with the internet a bit better than it is today. And I follow it up with a postcard, and I ask for their address. I say, where is the best place to send any, sort of postcard to? And they go, oh, looking forward to that. And then I leave it for a week, and then I send it, and it arrives on their doormat, and they get quite excited. I know it sounds really silly, but I think I get probably 90% response easily.
Is that something, Stevie, you might contemplate doing yourself, Steve Mills?
Absolutely. No, to get 90% response is just phenomenal in any form of marketing.
Basically,
So
the
yeah,
handwritten.
I need to definitely find out about that. I have in the past written to people as part of what we've done. We didn't get a fantastic result from that, and I've definitely done the the 1 minute video thing, which I have done well with that. That's definitely been a positive thing to do. Like the initial thank you. It's great to be part. Connected to on LinkedIn. That type of video I've found really beneficial.
Really interesting, fascinating today. Oh, a question to the pair of you, actually. Then, what do you think is the thing that leave your flipping camera alone, Angus? What's the matter with you?
So it just dropped.
It's dropping, is it? Okay, just checking, because you're wobbling all over the place. I'm feeling slightly seasick now, a bit nauseous, in fact.
It's an earthquake zone.
But a question for the pair of you, perhaps then maybe is. What is the most effective kind of post to make? Is it then about what your product is? Is it the product, or is it the problem solving post that you stick out there? Is it a conversational post? What have you found has been, because I mean, Angus, you have a very defined service that you offer. You say to people, look, come to me and I'll sort your LinkedIn out. Steve, you do very similar as well in one area of your business. You do LinkedIn resolving issues. Should we all be sort of selling our solutions as opposed to selling a service or just selling ourselves? What do you think?
Who would you like to ask that to?
Angus, we'll go Angus first then on that one.
Well, I think that it's about solving. And I think that the about section for me stands for addressing business owners' underlying triggers. And I'm a great anagrammer, but, addressing business owners' underlying triggers or troubles. And if your profile addresses those issues, then when you get to speak to people and when you post stuff, it's in line with that. And I think that is what gets me results. I tend to do posts that are informative, humorous where possible, humorous and informative, but also highlighting new things on LinkedIn sometimes. But I tend to avoid those because everybody does. I don't want to post, look, we've got polls now and whatever else. So that is my approach.
What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Well, my approach is to try to help people. That's what I've always tried to do in the 25 years I've been in business. And so on LinkedIn, I like to demonstrate that I can help people by actually helping them. And whilst I do understand, people's thoughts about, well, you shouldn't be selling on social media. I do believe in pitching on social media. I'm not going to, write a post or do a video on social saying, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? That is absolutely not the thing to do. But my belief is that you should wrap the pitch in content. You should wrap the pitch in content. By that, what I mean is, let's say, I don't know, I'm running a webinar. And I want people to attend that webinar. And I want to pitch the webinar on LinkedIn. What I typically do is probably a video. I do a video, and on that video, it would go something roughly like this. I'd say, hi, my name's Steve Mills. I've spent 25 years in marketing, and here's a couple of really good things about me that I've done. So I tell them, I position me as the expert in whatever it was I was talking about. I then tell them, today I want to talk to you about 5 things that you can do to get more traffic from social media to your website. Before I do that, I'd just like to tell you that next Tuesday at whatever the time, at 2 o'clock, I'm running a webinar where I'm going to spend an hour talking to you about that. It's totally free to attend, and it'd be great if you wanted to come along. Go to stevemills.co to find out more. So now, back to my 5 ways of getting more traffic to your website. So I then go bing, 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 bing. They're my 5 ways. And then again at the end, don't forget, next Tuesday, 2:00, go to www.now and register for my webinar. Thanks very much for listening. So what I'm trying to do is to give lots of really good content, but at the same time, I want people to do something. And I use the example of webinar. It could equally be download this report, sign up to my podcast, go and have a look at this blog post that I've done, and so on and so forth. So, or perhaps it's a meeting. I might say, if you want to meet up, then, it'd be great. And I'll, give you a free half an hour of my time, something like that. So I'm sort of, I suppose, trying to put a pitch within the value that I'm adding. That's how I would do it.
Seems to be a good technique. Angus, you do very similar, as you said as well. Had a question for you concerning the postcards, Angus, and it's from Andrew Gordon. Andrew says, is a typical one-off postcard, or is it a campaign when we're talking about the postcards? Is it to a particular organisational size as well? What's your thoughts on that?
I would view anyone that connects with me as a potential client. So if somebody were to connect with me and they were in a company of 20 people, I'd send a postcard. If it was somebody that was a solopreneur or a smaller company, I'd still send a postcard. So I try and make sure that my postcards go out as standard. The introductory one is just one, which is just a picture of a jigsaw puzzle with a LinkedIn piece, and it just says, "Is this the missing piece in your, sort of marketing?" And I just say, "Thank you very much for connecting." I then have a whole series of them, and I'll do a talking postcard as well at some point, which has an audio track embedded into the card. That works brilliant. That's 100%. Every time somebody gets one, they always phone up after that. So essentially, it doesn't matter the size of the organization. It is part of the people buying into me before they buy from me. And most people get emails, most people get other messages. If something falls on your mat and is handwritten with a proper old-fashioned stamp on it, rather than a franking mark, they're going to read it. They're going to pay attention every single time. Because, as I said, this is the attention economy, and with all of the standard ways that people are now bombarding folk, I think it's a postcard or a handwritten letter, as like Steve did, or in just any letter in a colourful envelope works a treat.
Okay.
I think Angus, sorry, Steve. I think, Angus, one of the keys to that is that whenever in marketing you do something that is different to everybody else, it tends to work really well, doesn't it?
Of course it does.
Just being different almost. If everybody sent a postcard out, it probably wouldn't work, and you'd have to find something else different. But the fact is, hardly anybody is, and so
I still think
it works
faxes might work.
fantastically well for you. Yeah.
I tell you what.
Fax next week.
David Richards has just dropped us a quick note. He says sales is all about connectedness. Is that a real word? Angus Grady postcard approach is very, very clever, he says. So thank you, David. Lovely to hear from you as well. Hope life is treating you nicely. But it is true. It is about connecting, isn't it? Also, Antonio from earlier on, he came back and he said all technique and processes end up with picking the phone up. And I suppose to a certain extent, we all don't do that enough, do we, Steve?
Absolutely. I go on to my clients so much about pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. Often, I'll give you an example. Sending out an email or posting something on LinkedIn or Facebook is great, but where you get all the rewards, it's the follow-up. You take something like networking. People go to chambers of commerce and other events, be it online or offline in the past and hopefully in the future. It's really about the follow-up. It's not actually what you do at the event. You perhaps speak to maybe half a dozen people, but I've been doing this for 25 years now, and I'll tell you what, I could count on my fingers the number of times that people have followed up with me after a networking event. They just don't do it, and it's totally and utterly one of the most important things about networking. You got to follow up with people.
Sorry, keep going, Steve. No. You finish off, Steve.
Okay, I was just going to say, whether that's sending them an email, picking up the phone, connecting to them on LinkedIn, and so on.
All right. Linda's getting very worried about you, Angus. Let's just explain a little bit. Before we came on air, Angus was having all sorts of internet problems. And I've had 2 comments from Linda so far. She says, can hear loads of typing. I don't think it is typing. Angus will explain in a moment. And now she's wondering, is your microphone rubbing on a zip, Angus?
Oh, yes. Yes.
There we are. Well done. Spotted.
I could hear that. Yes.
That's it. Works a treat. It works for me. All right. Okay, listen, you two, just take it easy for a moment. We'll come back in a moment with a few more ideas and suggestions. If you've got a question for my 2 guests today, please don't hesitate. Do get in touch with us here at Business Connections Live. You can do it on any of the social media platforms, and we'll put the questions to our 2 experts. These are 2 of the most foremost experts when it comes to using social media in particular. LinkedIn is Angus and Steve's forte. Steve also offers other service ideas and services to businesses as well. Are you balancing it on a milk bottle top or something, Angus?
No, I mean, I just go offline for a second and I'll sort this out. This was like the 11th hour, 59th minute as I crashed into another room and just got signal. Honestly,
all right, listen, keep the thought, guys. Back in a moment. All right.
I'm Linda Bazant. I'm a barrister and transition consultant, and I'm advising clients on how to get ready for the 1st of January 2021 when we finally leave the EU. I'm experiencing at the moment companies that are not ready for export and import customs declarations from the 1st of January. They're not aware of the new border operating model that has been released by the government to explain to you exactly what you need to do. You will need export licenses, safety and security declarations, rules of origin will be very important, sanctions if there are any, which you will have to abide by. You need to know what they are. You need to look at your agreements with regard to commodity codes that you're using to send manufacturing abroad. What are they? How do they work? You've got to get them right, because if you don't get them right, it's the trader's responsibility, not the shippers, not the freight forwarders, it's yours. And if you get it wrong, HMRC will come after you for the difference in the VAT and the duty. So you need to make sure that you've got everything correct. And the only way to do that is to start training now. And remember, there is a £50 million grant from HMRC, which will cover your training, which will cover employing people to do your exports and imports, and will also cover new IT systems if you need them. So look at training right now and make sure that you are ready for the 1st of January 2021.
Okay, so Antonio Falco, have a look at my profile on LinkedIn. There's a number there that you can call me on if you've got any issues to do with your business. But let me just jump on to what the program's been about, and let me go back to the very beginning. We started with the USA. So what I would say to everybody is, it is what it is. Whatever your thoughts are, the USA is a strong ally of ours. They're an important market. For future reference, if you want to see a potential, what I think is going to be a potential US leader, who's somebody with integrity, very, very smart, and a lot of capability and credibility, have a look at a representative called Tulsi Gabbard. She's the representative for Hawaii, a very, very good person, hopefully a future leader. Implore your MP, if you are a business, to make sure that he pushes for a good trade deal with the USA. It's critical. Get Linda in to help you. Stop thinking about it. Stop trying to make the decision. Is get her in and help you, because you're running out of time and you've got to get yourself sorted out. Both of us see companies that are not ready. The money's there, the help is there. Stop procrastinating. Get paperwork sorted, or you will be in trouble and you will lose business. If you're happy to lose business, fine. I suspect most of you aren't, certainly not in these difficult times, and certainly not over the next 12, 18 months. Get the help in, it's there and the money's there. Fourth, we can't do anything about where we are. We are where we are. It's a horrible phrase. We are where we are. Stop listening to the naysayers. Stop reading the stuff on LinkedIn about woe is me. I put a post up the other day about it. Get back into your business. Focus on what you need to do. Get a simple plan of action together for the next 12 to 18 months. Do the activity. Don't worry too much about the results right now. Just get a plan together, act, and do the things that we've been saying on the program today.
Some really good advice there from Antonio Falco. My thanks to him, and also to Linda Bazant, who were on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. If you want to see the entire program, you just go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com. If you'd like to find out more details about the program and what we can do for you and your business, then you can always drop me an email to studio@businessconnectionslive.com. Or if you wish, you can pick the phone up and give me a call on 01784 256 777, or you can follow our stream of consciousness at BCL Business TV. But the best place to go for over 400 hours of great business advice is to go to the website at businessconnectionslive.com. You're watching Business Connections Live. Great to have your company on a Monday afternoon. It's been a bit of a frantic, hectic one today. The technology, to be honest with you, is holding up remarkably well considering the circumstances that we're under. Steve, I noticed that you've got a brand new microphone that you're using right now, and let this be a lesson to everybody. I think, sound is so important. What have you bought? Show us what you've got there.
Okay, I'll show you. There we go. I've got a Rode microphone, and I was advised by a couple of people. I know yourself, Steve, you told me, you need to get your mic sorted. A very good friend of mine, Michael Brook, actually said, I bought one for, I think I spent about £70. And he said, do you know what? You've not quite gone enough. You need to get a Rode mic, which I think it cost me about £120. So, it's great to hear that it sounds so good. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a cracking microphone, actually. Listen, a question for the pair of you here. This is from David Richards. He says, 44% of salespeople give up after one follow-up, he's told. Do you think that's true, guys? Angus?
I think that people have a whole enthusiasm problem. They try once and they do give up. I think a lot of people do give up. I think a lot of people in the current climate are doing more than what they would have done previously, but it's still not enough. It's still not enough at all. And I think going back to what Steve said, it's a question of, carrying on. Everything's in the follow-up. It always has been with marketing. And so where we are now is just making it even more important to do that.
It's interesting as well because David's back on again. He says, I'll just pop that up. He says 80% of sales require 5 follow-up calls after the meeting. Like Steve Mills, sales and marketing specialist, says, I can actually remember those times that a salesperson kept in touch. And guess what? In the end, I felt I needed to reward them with business rather than do nothing. Persistence is not a common sales skill. And it's true, actually, isn't it? I mean, all of us realize that, don't we? That it's very easy to feel that rejection, particularly when you're phoning people up. Do you think then that the postcard, do you think that the email are just soft options for doing exactly the same thing? Is it a bit of a cop-out, guys? Steve?
I'll give my take on that one. I don't think it can be a cop-out. I think, it's very easy to go, well, I'll not phone them, I'll send them the postcard, I'll just email them. For me, those two tools should be used as a complement to the phone call and not instead of. Just going back to your question that you had to Angus about the number of calls, I really do think I'm quite passionate about keep going. One of my sayings that I have a little bit tongue in cheek is keep going till they die or buy. And that's maybe a little bit of a silly thing to say, but do you know, it's it is so true that, you know, by keeping going, you increase the standards and the chances of getting a sale. One of my amazing stories is this lady called me, it must be about 8 or 9 months ago now, and she said, I came along to one of your events that you spoke at in Swindon, and I'd now like to talk to you about you helping me with my marketing. I said, Swindon, I don't remember that. She said, oh yeah, it was about 14 years ago. And I think for 14 years, I'd been emailing her, connecting on LinkedIn and so on and so forth. I dread to think how many emails she received, because I email people at least twice a week for 14 years, and now she wants my help. So, yay.
Congratulations. Well done.
Yeah.
In fact, Antonio Falco, he's adding to that. He says, he keeps saying, you have to be persistent to be consistent. And I quite like that as an expression as well. Just going back to, I love that. What about you, Angus? Do you feel the same as well? That it does need to be consistent?
Yeah, I think that, you know, sort of persistence beats resistance, and I think that the resistance to speak to you gets less and less the more you actually send some stuff out. My postcards are a clear call to action. You know, give me a call, let's have a chat about this. So the messages on the postcards trigger a response within themselves. So one of them says, "Are you on LinkedIn and are you using the F words?" And I say, "Hi, Steve, whoever, you know, if you'd like to find out what they are, give me a call." So I get a lot of inbound calls on the back of the card. So it works as a trigger point. And then if there's a message, if there's an audio message as part of that card as well, then I often get people playing the message back to me, which is kind of testament to the fact that it works.
Question that adds on the back of that. This is from Tim again on the same theme. Christmas business cards, is there a place for those, or do you think that's faded away? What's your view, Angus? Steve, what do you think? You first of all, Angus.
I personally never send Christmas cards. I send New Year cards, because my New Year card is the only card that arrives on the desk the second week of January. At Christmas, it gets lost in a flood of other cards, which is not saying that I don't like Christmas, but I think that, again, it's about attention. So if the cards arrive in the middle of January and I'm the only one, there's a chance they're going to respond to it. I wish them a happy, I hope that you've had a good Christmas, and whatever the situation is, obviously 2021 is going to be completely different. But, that normally works as well.
What about you, Steve?
Well, I personally send out Christmas cards to my my clients. I don't do mass Christmas carding. I don't see that as a marketing opportunity. I use it just to say Happy Christmas, really, just like I would to a friend. So I don't use it. But again, I love Angus's point about being different. How many Christmas cards do you get? How many New Year's cards do you get? You don't get many New Year's cards. So it's another example of how he's doing stuff that's a little bit different to others. But certainly the cards and sending stuff through the post. The other day, interestingly, I got a postcard from Google. Now, for me, if the world's or one of the world's top technology companies that are all about online everything are sending cards in, to people through the post, then you wonder whether we all ought to be doing something like that. So, good point.
Very interesting. I'll tell you what is interesting as well. Also, the comments that are coming back about equipment that people are using out there as well when it comes to doing things. Let's have a look. Linda has said, it's Dave Richards. Yes, he said, just bought a Blue Yeti microphone, transformed his Zoom calls. Audio is so important. If you're doing any of this, honestly, do invest or do something. I mean, go out there, get yourself a decent microphone. Linda, in fact, has got herself a Blue Yeti, and it is a brilliant microphone. The other thing that Linda suggests as well, and this has transformed her Zoom calls, is a pop-up screen, and she got hers for between 150, 200 pounds. And it really was a revelation. It just meant that when she was doing any green screen work, it did look absolutely fantastic. Like the idea, Tim Solway has come back to say, likes the idea of New Year's cards. I think that's a really, really good idea. All right, looking down our list, let's just talk about some of the fundamentals, the basics of what's going on here. Angus, you first of all, your actual social profile when it comes to, regardless of which social media platform it's on, is your profile really important to the success that you will have on that particular platform?
I think on LinkedIn, it's the only platform that asks you to fill in a profile. So yes, it has to be good there. But if you're consistent, and I think there's a guy called John Esprian that says, be the same shape everywhere. So my Twitter banner is a reflection of my sort of LinkedIn banner. My kind of message on Instagram is a reflection of all three. So I'm consistent across my brand. My personal brand is consistent across all platforms. And I think that's the important thing to bear in mind, that you've got to be consistent, and it is about having that proper like profile filled in properly, saying what it is that you do.
Are there things that people you feel miss out when it comes to doing their profiles? Do people, in the same way as we design and build websites, they're all about us, it's me, it's not about you. Do people make the same mistakes when they're doing their profile? Is it all about I, and not about what you solve and what you resolve? Steve?
I think it can be. I think one of the problems that I see a lot with, certainly with LinkedIn profiles, is they're just simply not good enough, and they look the same as everybody else's. You know, they have at the top it says Steve Mills, Managing Director, and people have no clue what that's about. Their about bit, you know, the words, the summary, it's not really filled in properly. They haven't attached any documents to their profile, and you know, they've perhaps got a couple of recommendations on there at the bottom. They've just not really put the time and effort into it. My belief is, you know, your profile on social media, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever, is like your website on there. And so you wouldn't have a rubbish website. So why is your LinkedIn profile not as good as it could be? One of my little cliches is in marketing is to be outstanding by standing out. When you stand out in marketing, that's where all the rewards are. And I think people need to take a look at their profile, have a look at their banner, their picture, you know, the words that they're using, and really get a good understanding of what they could do to improve that, and then go ahead and do it. You know, take action to improve their profile. Because the old saying is really, really true, that you never get a second chance to create a great first impression. And often, you know, that LinkedIn profile is people's first impression of me, and I want it to be as good as I could possibly get it.
So then, what are the key elements for your LinkedIn profile, especially the couple of lines that are always on show? We see there Antonio Falco, trusted business advisor. If we look at Linda's, it'll say international trade trainer and speaker. If we look at some of the others that have come in today, who else have we got? You got David Richards, MBA, things like that. Is that important? Should you be including that in your profile picture? Is that how it should be done? Because I think on yours, Steve, it just comes up Steve. No, it doesn't. It comes up Steve Mills, doesn't it? With a whole host of other bits at the end of it.
Oh, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, Angus, what do you think when it comes to those words that you use around your name? What should and shouldn't be there?
Well, I think that you should make it clear your kind of skills are your keywords, and your keywords then become your leading bit in your headline. So, you know, whatever you are, the first 2 or 3 words should be those skills, and then it's the benefit you deliver and who you deliver it for, but also using your skills as keywords. And
I just actually looking at yours, actually, just as we're. So at the moment we can see that I'm not sure about stories. What's that all about then?
Well, that was because when stories got launched a couple of weeks ago, everyone was talking about stories. So I thought, right, I'm going to be a bit sneaky, and I used my previous name as the not sure about stories Grady. And I've had a lot of feedback from people saying, tell me more about what you mean about not sure about stories. And I've said I don't think that they're viable in terms of a marketing tool as yet on LinkedIn because it's been borrowed from other platforms.
Righto. What about you, Steve? Yeah. And what about you, Steve? What's your thoughts about the words that follow after the name?
I just totally agree with what Angus said. Yeah, really, really important. And they're the first impression. What do people see when they go to my profile? They look at my picture, they look at my banner at the top, and they read those first few words. And if those first few words say Steve Mills, Managing Director, they have no clue what I do. And I think it's really important to make sure that is as good as possible. And I'm often testing different things, a little bit like Angus has just done with his stories thing, testing different things to see if I can improve the response that I get. I used to always have my telephone number on there, and people used to say, you can't have your telephone number there. Don't you get loads of nuisance calls? And I go, no, I've never had one. I've not got it on there at the moment because I wanted to change what I was doing a little bit, and I've had that up there for probably a week or two now. And but just make it as easy as possible for people to find you, connect to you, and to build those relationships, I think.
Just going to say, we can actually see, I hope we can see your, actually, no, we can't see your screen just for the moment, but we will come back to that in just a mo. Another question for the reason that this is slightly haphazard today is because Angus came on a bit late. We didn't have a chance to set all the appropriate buttons up. So I am flying by the seat of my whatsits here at the moment. David came back with another question that says, I've seen emails giving to a charity instead of physical personal cards increasing over the past couple of years. What do you feel about that? He says, nice social value angle. What do you reckon? Steve?
It's okay for me. Yeah, absolutely. Why? If I can send out Christmas cards and help charity at the same time, I'm totally and utterly for that. I think it's a great idea. Why wouldn't I do it?
Angus?
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that anything that helps charity in this current situation has got to be the right thing to do. And if it's an email rather than a postcard or rather a Christmas card, because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of people aren't in their offices. So sending it to blogs and blogs, 10 High Street, is not going to get to the person that you want it to get to anyway. Mm-hmm. So I think the email version is a good idea, is a good option.
Interesting. This is nice to know that we have an effect on people, isn't it? David has come back and said he's listened and he's changed his profile. So, this is instant advice. You've got two of the absolute experts here on screen at the moment. If I have any LinkedIn issues or anything like that, these are the two guys that I talk to. In fact, Angus once did a complete synopsis on my site. He ripped it to pieces and left me lying there in a heap with fractured nerve endings. And I really appreciate you for doing that. So thank you very much indeed. Do either of you know Mark Hughes?
No, I don't think I do.
Do you know, I could have swore that one of the pair of you introduced me to Mark. Doesn't matter. Well, because we're going to hear from...
I did.
You did?
No, I didn't.
We're going to hear from Mark Hughes. He's going to talk a little bit about Facebook and what you should be doing there. You two, don't you dare go away. Back in a moment.
Okay, so I'm Mark Hughes from FunkySocialMedia.com, social media consultant, and essentially I help small and medium business owners like yourself generate more leads and eventually sales through the use of your social media platforms. And tonight we've obviously spoken about Facebook in particular. Very importantly, don't think social media is the be-all and end-all. It needs to be incorporated into your overall marketing strategy. It needs to be used intelligently. It needs to be done correctly, setting the foundations correctly first. Start building that lead list, that database first and foremost, because it's really important. It's the thing that will get you to get more of a back end. In other words, if everything else falls short, you've still got your list. You can pick up your business later. And most of all, don't feel intimidated. Give it a go. I urge you to give it a go. It might be frustrating at times, it might be time consuming, but if you stick to it, there are rewards as well.
Mark Hughes there on Business Connections Live from a previous program. Don't forget, you can go to the website and you can check out all our programs. As I said before, over 400 hours of great business content there. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for all the questions and also the interaction as well on the different social media platforms. I do hope you found it interesting today and also informative as well. As I said, it's all by the seat of our pants. Angus has just moved into a brand new house, haven't you, Angus? And it's proved to be problematic. I understand you're getting your broadband fitted on Wednesday. Is that right?
I'm getting my broadband on Wednesday, yeah, and my screen, which I normally have behind me, I haven't been able to find to put behind me. So that's somewhere. But no, it's great. It's great. I mean, it's great to be on the show. This is always a must attend event.
Well, bless your cotton socks. It's always good to have you on the show as well. And it's great to have Steve on the program as well. So thank you very much to the pair of you. I mean, it's been some really good stuff there. A question that often comes up when we're doing bits and pieces is, can you really sell from social media, or is it only the beginning of the process? Have you ever sold anything directly from your social media interaction? You have. Angus, you first then.
Yeah, I've sold quite a bit through obviously LinkedIn, because people come to me and I put stuff up and it says, if you want this, contact me. I found that Instagram is working quite nicely, because again, you can have, you can put links into your link tree on Instagram, and it drives people back to your LinkedIn profile. So I get quite a few people coming and actually picking the phone up and phoning me or contacting me and saying, because I talk about the phone all the time, people feel comfortable calling me, which I think is kind of part of what I want to do. Because as like Steve said earlier, we can't get away from speaking to. At some point, you've got to speak to somebody, and you can't. Speaking is not emailing or putting a post up. So at some point, you've got to have actually physically talked to somebody. So the easiest process for me is to get them to call me as well as me call them. And yeah, I have definitely sold on social media. And
what about you, Steve? Have you seen direct results from using social media? Yeah. And do you use Instagram as well?
Not so much. I do use it, but I sort of I use mainly LinkedIn. Secondly, I use probably Twitter and Facebook, and then we use about 3 or 4 other sites as well. But yeah, I mean, we win about 100 grand a year on LinkedIn. That's rough. I mean, this year, obviously, it's down. We're about 50, 60 grand. But,
you're just showing off now, aren't you?
No, I'm not. Yeah. I just want people to realize.
Get out of here. Get out of here, Bills.
People to realize, if I can do it, anybody can do it. We're a little business, and I had one client. This is absolutely true. I mean, it sounds so fantastic, it couldn't possibly be true. But I had one guy who came along to my workshop, and he phoned me about 6 months later and told me that he just made £42 million from a lead he'd got on LinkedIn.
Crikey.
42 million quid from one lead he got on LinkedIn.
And what was your percentage commission?
What was your percentage?
Yeah, well, I said to him, I'm looking forward to getting the commission. He said, oh, yeah, the check's in the post. So it's not arrived, though. I don't know what's happened.
Fun. I just had someone knock on my door with a big check.
Yeah. I've got one other very quick story. I had a lady ask me to connect who was an admin assistant in Vietnam. Must be 3 years ago now. And she asked me to connect, and I nearly, you sometimes see people, you think, oh well, there's no value, she's the other side of the world, she's only an admin assistant, with all respect to admin assistants, but most of my clients are managing directors and so on, and I nearly just didn't connect to her. And I thought, well, I'll just check her profile, and I noticed that she worked for the British High Commission in Vietnam. So I connected to her. A minute later, she came back to me and said, thanks for connecting. We're looking for somebody to come over and run a marketing seminar in Vietnam. Would you be interested? And I thought to myself, oh, it's a long way to go. It's going to take time to get there, time to get back. I said, yeah, okay. But, I charge £2,500 a day. Is that okay? And she came back with, yeah, no problem. By the way, it's for 8 days. Is that okay? And, I found myself a couple of months later in Vietnam doing 8 days marketing training, pinned on a holiday at the end of it. Very happy. Thank you, LinkedIn.
Go on then. You must have a story like that, Angus, have you?
Not quite like that. I've got stories where again, you never know who the person is that you're talking to, but again, I've picked up bits of business, which I never thought was going to be possible simply by responding to something, or I've responded it as a comment. I've commented on something, and people have come back and said, "I liked what you said there. Can we have a chat?" And it's always worked well.
Do you know what, guys? That's an hour. And it's been fantastic. I cannot thank you enough. I know it's been difficult, Angus. It's been a bit of a seat of the pants production today. What makes this all worthwhile, I think, is when you get comments like this. That he's picked up. Tim's picked up some useful business tips today, and that's what this is all about. It's about sharing that knowledge. Tim, if you want to find out more, of course, you can link in with either Steve or Angus. And, that'll be a well worth doing at the end of this. And both of them can help you with your profile and what you do when it comes to using LinkedIn. Guys, as always, would love a sum up of the program. Try and keep it clean if you can. Steve, you first of all, say who you are, where you're from, and the key takeaways as you see it for this hour.
Okay. So Steve Mills, my company is called Crofton. My website is stevemills.co. The big takeaways, I'd say, from the hour are, I think, just to take action. Even if you're not perfect, even if you don't know, in detail how to do everything on LinkedIn, just start doing stuff. That's how I learn. I'd say my level on LinkedIn is pretty high. I probably know more than most on LinkedIn. I've been teaching how to use LinkedIn for many years, but I'm pretty much self-taught. I just got on there, had a look around, found stuff, and keep very much up to date with it. So, the one thing I can tell you about LinkedIn and social media in general is if you use it, it works. And if you're one of the people who say, well, I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't do very much, or I'm on Facebook, but I don't really understand how to use it, then that is costing you money. And I really hope that changes as a result of today. One final thing I'd like to say, and that is just a big shout out to Steve and his team for doing what they do. I can't remember how many years ago it is now, Steve, that I first appeared on Business Connections Live. And him and his team are there, every Monday, getting this valuable content out to people, over 400 hours of content. And I think that is absolutely brilliant. So a big shout out and a big thank you, Steve, from all the speakers and, more importantly, all the people that are listening today and have listened over the years. So thank you.
Gosh, that's really nice of you. Thank you very much indeed. Blimey, I feel I'm welling up at the moment. Angus, your key takeaways, what would they be?
Well, I just want to start by agreeing with Steve. You are the broadcaster's broadcaster, Steve. You are the best, and I think Business Connections has done me a huge power of good over the years, and to every person that comes along. But generally, my key takeaway today is, well, first of all, who am I? I'm Angus Grady, known as the LinkedIn Unlocker, and I work with business owners to magnetize their profiles so they attract the best and repel the rest. And I think the key thing from today is to make sure that you carry on the engagement process. I don't call it follow up, I call it follow on. Follow up is like chucking something up in the air. It goes up, it comes down. Follow on, there's a process. You know, you phone people, you postcard them, you carry on making sure that you're building that relationship, creating that curiosity to connection, to conversation, to customer. It's about making sure that we are active on LinkedIn, and that means, you know, putting a keyword search into the search bar, even a town name, and just go and look at what's been said about your town. Also, just I want to chuck this tip in because I'm dying to, because I think people get this so wrong. There's a hidden headline on LinkedIn, and that's what you call yourself in your current experience, you know, sort of area. When you paste in your URL of your LinkedIn, you know, sort of URL into like a Zoom meeting, it doesn't come up with your main headline that you've crafted brilliantly. It comes up with the one that you've forgotten about, which is your experience section, where so many people just put, you know, Angus Grady, Managing Director, Blogs and Blogs Limited. You've got to use that as your hidden headline. But the key takeaway for me today is keep getting involved, keep engagement, and keep making sure that you are talking to your you know, sort of potential customers and your current customers.
Absolutely fantastic, you two. Really enjoyed it. Some lovely comments have come in. A man I haven't spoken to for years, Royston Mayo. This man directed Live Aid. He's loads in the last 10 minutes. Thank you very much, Royston. It's a pleasure. He's gone from one side of the camera, from pressing the buttons to make it all happen, to the other side, and now is an actor. And you may well have seen him. So Royston Mayo, thank you very much for joining us. David Richards, you are way too kind. So have yourself a really good day. Thank you very much indeed. Listen, guys, to the pair of you, thank you so much for being on today. I know it was short notice. Angus, thank you for battling through the internet. I look forward to doing this again when you've got better internet connectivity, or at least you can find something to balance your laptop on.
I know.
Oh, dearie me!
If only you could see what's beneath this laptop now. I've got the cat lying there holding up a tray.
And Steve, once again, thank you very much indeed for all your help. Final question for the pair of you. And you can either decline to comment on this, or you can agree, or you can answer it. There are things out there which are called, in inverted commas, LinkedIn bubbles and things like that, where groups of people get together to use the power of LinkedIn to market their posts. Steve, Steve, your views first of all.
Okay, you're going to ask me first. I know what Angus is going to say. Okay, so my take on that is it's happening. People are doing it. What's basically happening is people are getting together in groups to share and like and comment on each other's posts. And what that's doing is it's sort of tricking the LinkedIn algorithm to get loads and loads of views. That's basically what's happened. So if I do that, then instead of getting 100 people looking at my post, I get 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 people even. And do you know what? My take is that the jury is still out on it. I think at some point LinkedIn are going to cotton on to it and potentially stop it happening or reduce its effectiveness. I'm actually part of a pod, and I can tell you that I'm getting a lot more people seeing my posts. But if you ask me, has that resulted in much business, then my answer would be no, not really as yet. But there are members of the group that have, so it has been effective. But at the moment, I'd say the jury is out, and I'm not certain how long it's going to continue.
And what about you, Angus?
I think that I saw a post earlier today from a friend of mine called Greg Cooper, and you might want to look at it, that talks about this. The algorithm has been has now penalised pods, and pods in the past have been they've been barriers to participation. It's false participation. It always has been, and I think that it's not the way to do it. I think it's got to be organic. And I think LinkedIn aren't stupid, and I think that the whole pod thing is a lovely idea because it helps people to get seen in theory. But I think LinkedIn picked up on it so early in the game that they then decided, no, that's it, we're just going to penalise it. And I think Greg's post actually talks about it being officially penalised in terms of the algorithm now. I'm a big no for whatever.
All right. Well, listen, a great way to finish the program, a great piece of advice as well. Can I thank you, the pair of you, from the bottom of my bottom to the top of my top. Thank you very much for being with us on the show today. And stay online so that we can just have a quick chat when we finish this. But thank you very much indeed. My guests today, Angus Grady and also Steve Mills, two fantastic guys. If you go to the webpage on our website, you'll find out more details about them if you want to contact them. There's email addresses and all sorts of contact information there online. But from me, Steve Highland, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Hope you've enjoyed the program. I do hope you found the program useful, entertaining, but more importantly, informative as well. Until we do it all again next week, take care. Be safe out there. Only another, 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks to go on the current lockdown. But until we get out of this, just keep working at it. Social media is there to help you, and it could be the thing that will drag you out the other end of this particular lockdown with more business than you can potentially handle. Till we do it all again, take care, have fun, stay safe. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel.